I'm Shirin Housee, a very long-standing sociologist at the University of Wolverhampton, and I think the years that I've been here just shows is always evidence of my commitment to my subject, sociology, and but also my student. So, just briefly, I've been here for over 30 years. I joined in 1990. And I say in the article that when I started my job as a sociology lecturer, there was just under or just around 20% BAME students in the university, a little bit more maybe in our classes, 20 something, and 30 years on, we're talking 60% now. So I guess my introduction to this interview is that I feel like I'm committed to watching our students grow and develop and get a good academic experience as minorities. The key question is, as the article says in its title, Enough is Enough, De-colonise, Diversify, Deconstruct the Curriculum. It's a very tight focus. My interest is wider than the curriculum, but it's a tight focus in really my ongoing battle to make our curriculum much more relevant to BAME, if I use the all-inclusive terminology, students' experience. I want them to feel that their education experience speaks to them as minorities. So the key focus, if you like, is reflective. First of all, it's not a new piece of research. It's one that's looking back 30 years plus. In fact, it looks back from when I was a student, and I speak about this in my article, that as an undergraduate myself, I complained about the lack of Black experience, the lack of Black perspectives and ethnic minority perspectives in our curriculum back in the 80s. So I have this long-standing commitment to ensure or to fight for more inclusivity, for fight for more decolonising our curriculum. And decolonisation or decolonising our curriculum, it's like a buzzword now, but quite honestly, it's been around for a lot longer, 40, 50 years, but we would have referred to it as multicultural education changes or anti-racist lens to our education and curriculum. But I'm glad it's back on the agenda in the way it has come back. And it's given me that impetus to fight on the good fight of making our education much more decolonised and anti-racist. One key finding would be, unfortunately, that our students, our BAME students, but generally I have to say, even our non-BAME students would say, there's not enough of this, Shirin, and this was a conversation I had last week, where students said, if it wasn't for your module, I've never actually studied much on colonialism, on racism, on Black experience. So a key finding would be, we need to do something about this. We need to decolonize our curriculum across the country, across the global world. But our curriculum is still very Eurocentric. It's still very outdated. It's still very limited and does not speak to BAME students' interest and experience. Not new questions, but new events led to me thinking about the importance of anti-racist education. So I think if I put it that way, so what gave me impetus and energy to write this article, as I said, it's reflective, is connecting the importance of good anti-racist education to the current climate of Black Lives Matter, if you like, but the whole kind of issue of white supremacy, white privilege, all that came to the fore with as I talk about the stolen election by Trump. I make a reference in my opening first page, and it really brought to light and reminded me again how we live in such a white privilege and white supremacy society. So I guess the one new thing, if I was going to call it that, is continuously making that connection and giving us, I think, the confidence to talk about white supremacy and white privilege in a way that I wouldn't have been able to 10 years ago even, and certainly 20 years ago, because it was a really awkward thing to raise. We would talk in terms of Eurocentricity, which still is important and key to understanding racism in education, but we weren't so confident to say, this is white privilege, this is white supremacy, this is the imbalance of inequalities of global south and the north. So the current situation, the kind of normalizing the kind of anti-racist movement through Black Lives Matter is given me the confidence, given many of us the confidence and the impetus to talk confidently about these issues of racism. I think that's the new thing for me. I've just had a really long thought about this, and I think there's nothing new, but what I am going to say is that we need to keep the good fight continuing. That is what I would say. And so what writing this article did, which is now going on to almost 2 years, isn't it, is I raised some internal funds, universities, what is called the teaching and learning pocket of money, and I achieved just under £1,000. And from that, what I'm doing is I'm actually got my PhD student who's doing her research on Black boys' experience in secondary school and ESN schooling, and PRU, which is a pupil referral unit. So she's already au fait with the anti-racist literature and education. So she's our research assistant, and she's now going to classes and to what we call drop-in cafes and meeting our students, our social science students, social policy students, sociology students, and talking about their curriculum. So in a sense, writing this article had given me again a reminder that I need to do more of this. I need to bring the student voice to the table again, because I think it is the student voice that will make changes in universities. At the moment, we're going through revalidation of our curriculum, the whole curriculum, including social policy, sociology, politics, history, and so on. And there's been a really good support from top down saying we need to decolonize our curriculum. And I think the best strength to argue for that is for it to come from the student experience and voice. And so that's what I think writing this article has given me, is the confidence to go back there and to bring current data from the student experience to the table, and therefore to argue for greater decolonisation of our curriculum.